close friend and informal campaign advisor to former President Donald Trump, is on trial, accused of secretly working as an agent for the United Arab Emirates. Prosecutors in a Brooklyn federal court accuse him of leveraging his relationship with the former president to protect the interest of and relay intelligence to the UAE in an effort to have their leaders influence the ex-commander-in-chief. Barrick's legal team deny any wrongdoing on the part of their client, arguing his contacts were disclosed to the Trump campaign as well as the administration and were not a secret. Jury selection is expected to be completed today. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
House Democrats plan to pass a bill today in reaction to Trump attempts to overturn the 2020 election and the Capitol riot. It would overhaul an 1800s-era law to make it harder for lawmakers to object to a state's electoral votes and to require court approval to stop the certification of a state's votes. Republicans oppose that. Congressman Steve Scalise calls it an attempt
to allow trial lawyers to change states' election laws.
In the Caribbean, Hurricane Fiona is moving away from the islands there, turning north and east after hitting Turks and Caicos, doing deadly damage in the Dominican Republic and flood-ravaged Puerto Rico.
This is going to be moving to the north and to the east, so away from the islands here over the next couple of days, passing just by Bermuda. You notice well off the coast of the United States.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz on Wall Street ahead of the Fed's interest rate hike today. The Dow's up 130 points. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are and what our wealth management advisors can do for you, visit Eliason Financial online or call 307-672-3010. Securities offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
Lotto fever hit again the other day, and the old saying goes, you gotta be in it to win. Hi, this is Brad at Prime Rate Motors, where your chances to be a good deal winner are 100%, not 1 in 25 million. Stop in and let us show you a vehicle that fits your lifestyle from our wide selection of certified and used cars, trucks, and SUVs from leading brands like Ford, Chevrolet, Honda, and more, creating a hassle-free experience where your needs come first. Prime Rate Motors and Super Trailer Store, 2305 Coffin Avenue in Sheridan.
I really hate to say this, but winter is coming. It's time to think about getting your vehicle ready for Wyoming winter roads. Here's a tip to help you save some bank. Go see Tim or Joel at Midas for September specials on all things necessary to keep you safely on the road this winter. Tires, brakes, fluids, battery, and tune-ups. You can save on the repairs you need while getting peace of mind knowing your car is in the hands of experts. Midas Tire and Auto on East Brundage Lane in Sheridan.
This is Public Pulse, your information and conversation program, brought to you by Eliason Financial. You can voice your opinion by calling 672-KROE. That's 672-5763. Now, your host for Public Pulse, Floyd Whiting.
Good morning and welcome to Public Pulse. Now, earlier this month, the chief of the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, spoke with criminal justice students at Sheridan College, and he provided a little advice for people considering a career in law enforcement. And joining me this morning to speak on that and other issues concerning the Sheridan PD is Chief Koltiska and Captain Tom Ringley. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Floyd.
Now, how's it been down at the PD this past month? I spoke with some detectives earlier this month, but haven't seen you guys in a little while.
No, it's just a matter of the timing and the messages we wanted to get out to the community. Our domestic violence program is very important to us, and Detective Hill does a fantastic job in managing the domestic violence mitigation program. So that's why he...
Oh, and it's great.
We weren't doing anything special.
But it's been a good month. Back to school went off without a hitch. We had a lot of high presence in the schools, so we made sure that we had officers there. And, it was great to see that as usually we talk about the winter driving, and people got to remember how to drive in the winter. And we talked about it preschool, prior to school starting. But things went really good. So it's been a good month. Everything's kind of slowed down a little bit from the summer, the busyness of the summer. Still very busy, but not on the level of the summer.
Now, I'm going to go off topic a little bit. When it comes to back to school, I spoke with Lieutenant Eric Jorgensen, Highway Patrol. He was really concerned over the passing of school buses with the stop arm deployed, something that you had brought up even earlier. It's just the idea for me, it just shocks and amazes me that people are still doing this. He said that the numbers of citations that just the HP has handed out so far is pretty shocking. I think he said there was a dozen in 2 weeks.
It is. A small part of that has been the advent of all school buses having cameras, at least in School District 2. But the numbers are rising.
That's incredible.
And we don't understand it. There's nowhere within our jurisdiction to where you do not have to stop for a school bus. Some of the statute mentions that if the opposing lanes have a barricade between them, there's nowhere in Sheridan that has that, not even on North Main Street where they have the little median. So once again, it's 30 seconds out of your trip, stop for all school buses, and let's think about the safety of the kids. And Lieutenant Jorgensen's absolutely right. Our numbers are rising as well.
Wow. And just a concerning topic there.
It is, and we'll stay on top of it, and we have a zero tolerance for those that do pass it. And it's a very expensive citation, but the outside cost of there being a true tragedy of that is far exceeds any enforcement action we could take.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. I could not even imagine. Getting back onto a happier subject, Chief, a career in law enforcement, extremely rewarding. What did you talk to the Sheridan College students about?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go talk to a class at Sheridan College that was the Intro to Criminal Justice. A lot of the people in that class, the individuals who were taking that class, were interested in careers in law enforcement. So I just welcoming to me to go out there and essentially just give them some advice on, as they're entering their career, some of the decisions and the choices that they're making in life, and some of what things the Sheridan Police Department will automatically disqualify you on.
Yeah.
We understand life happens. We understand that every person getting into this, I can say, looking back, before I became an officer, I probably didn't make all the right choices in life.
We were all kids, right?
But, it's about that, having that strong character and being able to really, that internal motivation and that intrinsic drive to serve the greater good and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we look for, a lot of it was very, very simple. It's like, listen, you have a physical fitness test. To get into this job, you have to pass certain criteria for physical fitness. Know it now. Start preparing yourself ahead of time. You may be a couple years away from a potential career, but start doing that. You'd be amazed. We usually, we have the phases of our testing, and there's always people. That's the one test we give people the answer to. It's right here in front of you. You know how many push-ups, sit-ups, and how fast you have to do the run in. So be prepared for it. And then just kind of talking about it. If you make it, through that and through the written, the things for our interview process. We've talked about before. It's all about character, who you are as a person, and what's going to drive you to do a very good job for our community in this line of work. Some of those characteristics that make you that person that wants to do it, and talk to them about that a little bit, and also about we do very, very extensive backgrounds.
Yeah.
And really, what we're gonna be looking for when we do a background. What is gonna, how's your work history? What kind of issues have you had, legal or otherwise, in the past? Those are all things that we look for.
When it comes to social media, I imagine that makes background checks a little easier. Do you reference social media when you're looking at that stuff?
As soon as we sit them down after the interview, when one passes the testing process, which is the physical fitness assessment, the written exam, and the oral board, the first thing the background investigator does, which is one of our detectives, it sits a candidate down and tells them to open up their social media accounts. And we look at it right there.
And it's amazing what people will put up there.
Yeah.
All of their...
But if people have showed us the character we're looking for, especially in the oral board, it's rare that we find
anything different.
Anything different. We see some silly stuff people might have done when they were 17.
Right.
But
Yeah, but we're looking for stuff like, racist posts, bias posts, profanity, and just graphic stuff doesn't display that character that we're looking for.
Actually, as soon as I get an application, I'm doing it. I'm not looking terribly hard, but I will.
You give a
Google
precursory glance,
a Google search just to see what we're working with, and that usually leads to social media.
Yeah, and it just like I said, it just surprises me what we share as individuals up on social media. We're willing to put all of our beliefs up there. We're willing to fight about those beliefs up there. Sometimes a little extreme, and I'm pretty sure every listener out there knows they've probably seen this type of extreme behavior in others.
The common theme from successful candidates is dogs and hunting, apparently.
share common interests. Yeah. That's I've got friends back at the Valley. Great guys. They're out there doing their hunting right now, and we're all kind of realizing we're getting up there in age because one of the guys I serve would talk about how these mountains seem to be getting
a little
steeper.
Yeah.
Yep, getting steeper every year. Now, when it comes to mistakes that we've made in the past, what cannot be overlooked?
Drug use is always a big question, and the prevalence of and the legalization of marijuana across the country is created challenges in law enforcement. But when you're talking some very heavy drugs, the heroines, the cocaines, any IV drug use will disqualify you automatically. Recent drug use of any kind, of any substance, and then I think it's within 2 years any use of a THC-based product, marijuana or THC. It's and everybody's like, well, it is legal in these states, and I used it in these states. Well, it's still to this day federally prohibited.
Yeah,
it's against federal law, so you're violating federal law when you're utilizing it in a state that the feds are they're essentially just overlooking it.
Yeah,
right. They're not taking any enforcement action. So
I think a lot of people forget that.
They do, but it's like, okay, what judgment are you going to have if you take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution and you're violating federal law in another state currently?
Yeah.
Right? So, but again, that's drug use in your past does not disqualify you, but it's the recency, and it can be the quantity. If you're saying I was smoking 365 days a year for 5 years.
Wow.
Could be an issue.
Yeah.
And we've seen these applications come across where it has a very extensive drug history. Demonstrated problems with alcohol abuse. Routine, multiple DUIs, public intoxes, some of those things that go along, those social harms that go along with alcohol use can be a disqualifier on your application. And then, poor financial. And this is something that a lot of people don't think about. And by irresponsible financials, meaning, I did speak about this to the college. It's like if you're somebody that can't manage your finances very well, and it gets you to where it's a point where it's either resulted in repossessions or multiple bankruptcies. And I think we have a bankruptcy within 7 years, I think is what the disqualification is.
7 years.
Yep. What that does is we want to prevent any kind of corruption. Like if you're struggling with your finances and I leave you to inventory a car and there's a couple $100 laying there and you're struggling with finances, are you going to be more prone to want to take that?
Yeah.
Officers across the country have done that in the past. And so that's one thing we look at. So that their financial records. So start building that, being responsible with your finances at the time.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because I can remember that was something that came up for like top secret clearances. And a lot of people are like, well, what does my credit have to do with anything? Well, if someone offers you money,
it's especially from our standpoint, if one can't take care of oneself, how are you going to take care of someone else?
Yeah.
How are you going to help a victim? How are you going to stay on topic? And how are you going to complete a successful investigation?
And the one other one I was going to touch on too is domestic violence. That is an absolute disqualification. You're federally prohibited from owning a firearm in situations where you're found guilty of domestic violence. But any kind of routine, if you're involved in a lot of, you have a record of assaults or
fighting at the bar,
that kind of stuff. You're prone to that violence. In this line of work, unfortunately, violence is just a part of it occasionally, and you have to use physical means to take control of people. You have to be ready to fight back when you're assaulted, or somebody's attempting to take your life. But it's that wanting to instigate that violent behavior. we never instigate the violent behavior.
Your job is to calm down the fire.
That's what we want to do.
To try and defuse.
But if
the
you go in there and
situation.
escalate every situation you've been in your youth, are you going to do that as in your officer? But again, like the domestic violence is a huge one. Absolutely
yeah.
not.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if somebody out there really wants to research this job, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is for them to contact us and ride along with an officer. We do ride-alongs all the time. They're usually about 4 hours long, and our stance and what we tell our officers is nothing's off the table. Answer every question that the ride-alongs ask.
Oh wow! So you can sit there
Yeah.
and interview boots on the ground.
Yeah, well, if you ask us and something's wrong, then obviously something's wrong.
Yeah,
it's our job to have a positive, to create and maintain a positive work environment and have great relations. But they're not interviewing for our jobs. They're thinking about becoming entry-level officers. So those are the people they need to talk to. I mean, we will sit down with anyone as well, but the best way to get it straight from the horse's mouth is to ride along with an officer.
And during those ride-alongs, there might be somebody out there who's like, well, I don't want to put myself in the thick of it just right off the bat. But, I mean, ride-alongs are considered. If a APB comes out, you might see something, but you're not going to be involved in it. I mean, you're stay in the car type of situation.
You sign a waiver acknowledging you may put out at the first safe place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Possible, so the officer can go take care of business. But it's a great way, and just also ask the community.
Yeah.
We're more than happy for people to ask the community. The feedback we get from a lot of successful candidates is that they did ask the community. They go into shops and ask people about the department before they've even met us, and they all got positive.
Yeah, we
feedback.
have several officers now. When they were looking at Sheridan, they talked about exactly what the captain said. Is like we heard such great feedback from the community. Now, not every single person is a fan. We understand that. We can't make 100%, but it's about what we want to put forward as an agency and that service to our community. And I think we've really worked hard to develop that relationship. But yeah, I mean, that's a great. You always for those that do hunt out there, when you look at going with an outfitter, you want to call references, both positive and negative. Those that were successful and those that weren't. Right. Well, those that weren't successful, why wasn't it successful? So we welcome anybody that's got feedback on it to provide us that feedback. And if it's negative, there's, we'll work on that. But yeah, those candidates were like, we got great feedback on the community. Plus, this community, just the people out there are a huge draw to our candidates out there. I mean,
absolutely.
There are a couple that were like, wow, where we came from, people didn't make eye contact and say hi when they're walking up and down the street.
As soon as you put that uniform on, you become somebody else.
Yeah, I understand. No, just even citizens walking past each other on the street. There is no community. So the city of Sheridan helps us greatly recruit.
People want to be here. People want to live here and interact with them. And I was recently in a big city. I'm not going to say which one, but I remember walking down the street, and we were down on one of the main streets, skyscrapers, enjoying the city itself. But the entire time we were walking down that, my wife and I agreed we are very happy to be where we're at. All right, on that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue with our Sheridan Police Department. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are and what our wealth management advisors can do for you, visit Eliason Financial online or call 307-672-3010. Securities offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
You bagged your trophy elk. Now imagine having its ivory handcrafted into the perfect piece of jewelry. At Legacy Diamond and Gems, their in-house jewelers can take your memory of the big hunt and preserve it into fine pieces of jewelry to last generations. Using your imagination, the skilled jewelers at Legacy Diamond and Gems can create something truly exceptional. Visit them at 11 North Main Street or online at legacydiamondgems.com. Hurry in now.
The 5th Annual WILE Film Festival presents The Outside Circle.
Much as I've thought about, what cowboying means and its relevance to modern society, of course there's the production of beef, which helps feed the world. And I think that's really important to ranchers. I don't think that's so important to cowboys.
The WILE Film Festival presents The Outside Circle.
I think they're aware, we represent an American ideal.
A film sharing stories from cowboys, Western artists, ranchers, and Native Americans, bringing their perspective and way of life to our world today. The WILE Film Festival, presented by ERA Carroll Realty, September 30th to October 2nd in Sheridan. See the lineup and get your tickets at wilefilmfest.org.
The pioneers crossed the vast wilderness in covered wagons, yet today a lot of their offspring actually have to set alarms to remind them when to drink water. If you're needing water, all you have to do is call 307 Wildcat Well Service, a local company that specializes in locating water, drilling and pumps, even solar-powered water wells. So for water wells and all that goes with them, look for 307 Wildcat Well Service in the Country Bounty, and you too will have cool, clean water. Water.
This announcement brought to you by Farmers Co-op Country Store on Coffeen Avenue, home of the 99-cent soda.
LifeLink of Sheridan County delivers peace of mind. Are you concerned for a loved one's safety and independence? LifeLink provides alert systems that work in the home or on the go, 24/7, 365 days a year. Installation and maintenance are done by a local representative. No long-term contract, no service cancellation fee. For more information on LifeLink, call Terry at 307-751-9348.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by our friends out there at Eliason Financial. I'm Floyd Whiting, and with me this morning is the chief for the Sheridan Police Department, Travis Koltiska, and Captain Tom Ringley. We're discussing the recruitment process down at the department. And I got a couple questions before we went off into our commercial. We're looking, on this show, we have talked a lot about the quality of character that is considered when you do your hires. The Sheridan Police Department is committed to hiring only the best qualified applicants through positive recruitment and selection efforts. We've talked a lot about this. This is really based on character, isn't it? Captain.
It is. We're looking for people whose character matches our character. I won't say what character traits we're looking for, because that's essentially what the entire oral board's about.
Yeah.
But we want people who want to be part of a team and who want to be loyal to an organization, but also who want to be supported by the organization. Everything we do is a two-way street. It's not just people coming here to work. It's people who want to come here and be supported. It's not people who want to just come serve the community. It's people who want to come enjoy the community. So we're very much about meeting in the middle on character, where it's a symbiotic relationship. We want people that are proactive, which is why we recruit like we do. We put information out there, specifically on our social media site and a site called Police One, which has a fantastic job search page on it. But we want people to come find us. We don't want to. We will not talk people into coming to work in Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
We want people that want to come to Sheridan. So the information's out there. And once again, it also lends to what makes a good police officer. You got to do a little investigating every once in a while. And from our experiences, we don't do job fairs.
Yeah.
We will talk to people. We do a podcast every now and then, but we want this so people can find it. So people can find us and come to us. We rarely talk about benefits. People can research that on their own. That's always a red flag to me when people ask about benefits in an interview.
Yeah.
That's easy to find, or they can call our human resources department.
They're not doing their own investigative work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We want people that that sell themselves on Sheridan and want to work specifically here, not to just want a career in law enforcement.
And I mean, the idea of that, for the listeners, imagine somebody going to get a job and they already know all the specifics about that job. Why? Because they want that job, because that's what they want to devote their life work to. And so to have somebody come in who has no idea what's going on. Oh, well, I heard you guys were doing some hiring. Do you really want to be here? You know, you don't know anything about the job. You don't know anything about what we offer or what the city offers. And so I really agree with your tactic on that, because when an individual shows up, they're ready, they're prepared. That shows me habits, good
and motivation.
And motivation, yeah.
Two things about our oral board. There are no police-related questions. You don't need to know anything about police work. But what we love seeing at the end is when someone, Sergeant Nevada Krinky did it, he whips out his questions that he's written down and starts questioning us. And we love that because it shows they've researched us and they put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
And it's also a good indicator of how they're going to perform down the road.
Absolutely. They're taking their life seriously. They're taking their career seriously. I often bring up my military experience whenever we talk, but I had a friend who I served with, and she was very adamant to her soldiers. There's one individual who is honestly taking care of your career, and you're wearing that guy's uniform. Mm-hmm. So, you've got to take it seriously and have your paperwork, have your poop in a group, because this is your career. And so, when someone approaches law enforcement, they shouldn't look at it like a job. This is what I do. This is my life.
No, it's not just a job you get into to, go work for the government and have some good benefits and have a retirement. That's not doable. We work shift work. It's an entirely different nature of work than most government jobs. And having said that, I probably couldn't do a lot of those jobs given my personality. But it's just different. You have to have a passion for the profession and also for the community.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really is. And those who take that seriously end up being much better peace officers.
And I would add that when we say officer, we include our dispatchers and our office staff, because they're exposed to a lot of the same stuff.
And the dispatchers.
And they go through the same process. Yes. I mean, when we're talking hiring of our officers and the character traits that we look for, we apply that same standard to our communications technicians, our dispatchers, our records personnel, our everyone within that under that roof of the Sheridan Police Department, because it really does take that entire organization. It's every one of those little cog in the wheel right there, all needed to operate. And we can hire outstanding people in this side of the house, but if we don't do the same thing over here, then we're not going to be efficient as an organization or work together as an organization. So we do apply that same standard. I mean, it's a law enforcement career, whether they're your sworn officer or communications technician or in records, the civilian side of things. So that's the same standard we're applying with everyone in our organization.
And I want to take this opportunity to thank those communication technicians and those individuals down there working records. The stuff that they see, the stuff that they deal with, I mean, they are our first line. They really are.
They are. They call them, and I agree with it, they call themselves the first responders, and that's quite true. Actually, they are answering the phone, and some of the things they process or can be pretty unpleasant. And also, that's not like our records technicians go through every photograph we take to make sure it's attached properly, so they're exposed to it.
Yeah.
Nate Digon, our evidence technician, is. So it's a true team effort, and the common theme that runs through us all is we're all of the same character.
Yep.
So
and it's that character within you that really keeps this whole organization tight, and working together. Chief, are we looking for anyone right now?
We are. We have a couple open positions still. We are. We have one individual in backgrounds. So he has made it through, pretty stringent process so far. Hopefully that'll be wrapped up here pretty soon. But we still have a couple openings. I've said it before, we've been short-staffed for a while, but because we're not compromising.
Right.
We're not going to compromise our standards, and we have passed over a few in recent testings, some that are just right there on the border, on the cusp of being able to do a job. And it doesn't mean that they weren't great people. It was just, they were just not quite what we felt was ready to come join the Sheridan Police Department.
Now, go ahead.
So we got a couple openings. So we test pretty regular, actually. That used to just do it like once or twice a year, and you'd have a large pool. But we like to try to make accommodations for, especially for people that are have more routine testings, so that it can fit into people's schedules a little better. So
we've hired a large percentage of our last 7 state officers hired or laterals, meaning they came from other agents, usually bigger, and they have worked at agencies to where positions would be filled with anyone.
Oh yeah,
and they much prefer what we're doing. They don't mind being a little shorthanded. We're always fully staffed to handle our calls, but they don't mind having vacancies if it means the only people we have are the right people.
Waiting for the right individual to come along. Yeah. I'll work an extra shift. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't even come to that. It's just a matter of I'm a little bit busier.
Yeah.
We have probably one of the most liberal time off policies for a reason.
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
People have to dececompress.
Need to take a day off.
We want them to spend time with their families and do those things when they can, and we encourage that.
But what we're going to do is we're in the process of adding a third detective.
Oh, wow.
So that position comes from patrol, so we're going to fill that. So everything we're doing is to improve the service that we provide to the community, and that does take more people.
Now, Captain, I'm running out of time, but I do have a question. For those who don't make that cut, is there criteria in place for rejection of an application?
There are some hard no's that the chief talked about. One is one cannot have any felony convictions. One cannot have a misdemeanor domestic violence conviction. One may not have can't have anything to preclude them from carrying a firearm. You've got to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be 21 at the time of post-certification. And it goes on a little bit. You've got to have the ability to get a Wyoming driver's license by the time of hiring. But they're pretty simple. There's really 4 hard disqualifiers by statute.
Yeah.
And then we have some of our own.
Now, Chief, do I need to have like a criminal schooling or in like a level of investigative schooling?
Education requirement for entry into the law enforcement is set by statute as well, and that's a high school equivalency, high school diploma or GED equivalency.
Okay.
Now, if you want to promote up in the police department, that's going to require additional educational requirements. So that's and most that we're familiar with around the state have similar requirements that but a lot of those can also be complemented or substituted with work history as well. But so current entry is high school equivalency. We encourage education. It can't hurt you.
Yeah, exactly right.
And so the city of Sheridan has a pretty robust tuition reimbursement program as well.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
The military service is another one. That we have a lot of veterans under our roof. It's just kind of that same mindset of
that
service.
Mentality of protection.
That service mentality and protection, that guardian mindset.
Yeah, and there's so much training available here within the department.
Yes.
I don't want people out there to think at all, oh, well, I've only got a high school diploma. When I get down there, I'm not going to know what's going on. No, there is a rigorous training that takes place before and continues throughout the entire
We
career.
will prepare you to be a very successful officer. We will mold you into that, and we will provide you every tool in the toolbox that's out there to develop you as an officer through your career.
It is,
or whatever position you're at the department.
Especially given the fact that I'm sitting here as proof, it's not rocket science.
Stole my line.
We all carry statute books. We all carry reference material. It's not like on TV where you have to be able to regurgitate every criminal code. But it's the character that we're looking for. The people of the character we want like to train, and they also like to ask for help.
I will admit one thing. I miss the training.
Yeah.
Gosh, I miss that training. I know that sounds odd, but I miss being out there in the rain, cold, miserable, and having a mission to complete.
I'll take 70 and sunny.
And we spend every night or day, depending on what shift one's on, in our own beds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Captain, Chief, thank you both so much for coming in today. I greatly appreciate you guys. Please be safe out there. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, when we come back, we're going to speak with the Buffalo Police Department. This is Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
At Eliason Financial, money management isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about dreams and opportunities, and more importantly, family. We'll take time to get to know you. Then we'll develop a unique wealth management plan that works hard, just like you. To learn more about who we are and what our wealth management advisors can do for you, visit Eliason Financial online or call 307-672-3010. Securities offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
With more than 30 years of providing excellent service to Sheridan area businesses, Parker Mellinger has the knowledge and expertise to help solve your bookkeeping problems, answer questions about IRS notices, and discuss your business concerns. Schedule a review of your financial records today, and we'll find solutions that work best for you. Ask about our exclusive fixed price agreement, 1 annual fee, unlimited phone calls, and meetings. Parker Mellinger, 1811 South Sheridan Avenue, Sheridan.
The owners and staff at Kane's Funeral Home would like to thank the families of Sheridan and Johnson counties for choosing Kane's and allowing them to serve you during these hard times. Kane Funeral Home makes it their mission to take the stress and uncertainty out of ceremonial services. They own and operate the only crematory in Sheridan County, so your loved one is always in their care. Kane's Funeral Home. Call 673-5837 or visit them online at canefuneral.com.
Sheridan Orthopedic Associates continues its over 50-year tradition of surgical excellence in Northeast Wyoming and Southern Montana with the addition of Dr. Jory Wasserberger, a Wyoming native, and fellowship trained at the Mayo Clinic in Orthopedic Sports Medicine. Dr. Wasserberger joins a team of highly rated surgeons providing spine, sports, hand, hip, knee, and shoulder surgery, joint replacement, and more, including emergency care 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit us at SheridanOrtho.com to learn more.
Abby Washaki, Sheila Yvette Hughes, Jocelyn Watt, Leela Casey here. Say my name, and I will live forever.
These are the women behind the murdered and missing Indigenous women epidemic in Wyoming and beyond. Please join Wyoming's Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault for the 6th Annual Violence Prevention and Response tonight at the historic WYO Theater for this after-hours event screening, Who She Is, at 6 p.m. From 6 to 7 is the reception and hors d'oeuvres, and from 7 to 8 the film screening followed with the filmmaking team. Tonight at the WYO Theater, Who She Is, at 6 p.m.
Considering a big project and don't know where to begin? Wagner Ranch Services can help. Our experienced staff of engineers and equipment operators can take your project from the design and permitting phase right up through construction and completion. Wagner Ranch Services can design, permit, and construct roads, reservoirs and ponds, excavate foundations, install utilities, and more. We can handle projects big and small from start to finish. Wagner Ranch Services, 13 Industrial Lane. Give us a call at 752-2787.
Good morning and welcome back to Public Pulse, brought to you by our friends out there at Eliason Financial. I'm Floyd Whiting. Now, for the second part of our show this morning, I am joined by the Chief of the Buffalo Police Department, Sean Bissett. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Floyd. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. How's Buffalo?
Buffalo is great. I actually had some time to spend some time up in the mountains with some family that came to visit. So, yeah, everything's wonderful here in Buffalo.
That's fantastic. How many times have you gotten to go up on the mountain this year?
Well, after my surgery, this was the first time, so it was great. After having that surgery on my leg, I'm finally mobile, so it was good to get up there and see it. And I love this time of year here. It's great.
Did the weather treat you well, sir?
Very well. Yeah, it's
that's
beautiful.
Good to hear. I've been on a couple camping trips where we even had a little bit of snowfall early, and that tends to kind of make things a little tougher. Now, school just began a few weeks ago. How was your first day?
First day went. It was great. It was seamless. We had a lot of our officers. We had several deputies from the sheriff's office there. We had them stationed at every school. We had a mobile. I was out at the elementary school, and just seeing the parents' reaction, it was just seamless. And nobody was concerned that we were there. Everybody was happy to see us, and it was just another day at school. And I think we had talked before, and like I said before, when they saw us, it was more of the mindset of, yes, the police are here, good to see them, instead of why are the police here?
Yeah.
So it was, I think it was perceived very well by the community.
And I don't want to talk too much on procedures. I don't want to give anything away. But can you give me an overview of the PD's school security there within Buffalo?
Sure. So right now we have, every morning for arrival, we have officers in school zones. It's one of our, around 7:30, 7:45, we get there. We make sure that all the kids that are walking to school are safe. We stop in, we sometimes park, and we'll greet the kids as they come in. And so that's our main concern right there. It's just a high visibility. We kind of switched. It's not one school gets one officer. We randomly kind of pick. That way we're not falling into any sort of pattern. And then throughout the day, we'll stop in. Some of our officers actually stop in, have lunch with the students, walk the hallways. And then during dismissal, it's the same thing. We are in the area, whether mobile, whether we're in the school, just being seen. And so that's pretty much how we work it every day.
Yeah, I bet that's a pretty good duty right there, getting to go in and have lunch with the kids, hang out for a little bit, answer some questions, because they've always got great little questions, don't they?
No, that's the best. Some of those questions are something. And after coaching a lot of these kids, and I drive around, I see them in the morning. I think it's actually a routine now where they look for me, and I'll shout out on the loudspeaker, "Good morning." Might have to throw a joke at them here or there. So that's kind of the thing is when the chief drives by, and of course they all yell out. With my last name being what it is, Floyd, I may have the nickname of Biscuit. So you may hear Biscuit being thrown around from the kids. So, but I think it's wonderful, and I love it. I love seeing the waves and the smiles on their faces in the morning. It's awesome. That's what I signed up for.
Sir, you did policing in a large city, a big metropolitan area, correct?
Yes. Yep. Baltimore.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Such a stark contrast from something like that to something like Buffalo. Can you tell me, has there been any growing pains, or is it all just seemingly like a relief? What's your perception on that?
I think just taking over the position, and there's always some challenges, but it has been a relief, and I think it's almost been a new start to my career. You get 22 years in, and you see some of the worst. Before I left to come here, I think I had 10 shootings in the last month that I worked, that I investigated and was a part of. And then I come here, and I get that kind of reception from kids and community and friends that I've met here, and I wish I would have done it 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I could only imagine. I've never been in law enforcement myself, but the environment of law enforcement changed drastically about 2 to 3 years ago, especially within the larger cities, and being able to go to work and have a city not just appreciate but love having you around. That's got to be a great feeling.
It is. It's wonderful, and I'm so blessed to be here, and blessed to have the friends and the family that I have here that I've made in Buffalo. And I have a good friend that came to visit, and he even commented that he just loved it and loved the town, and saw how he's like, well, wherever you go, you know somebody, and that's the way it should be. I mean, it takes a village to raise these kids, right? And
yes,
we're doing it the right way, and I love it.
Absolutely. Now. Can you tell me about the upcoming Right Roads event? This is something that everyone's kind of come together and done for a number of years.
Yes. So I guess COVID kind of put a stop to it, and it used to be called the Freshman Impact, I believe. So Lisa Norman has now spearheaded it here in Buffalo, and she's just done an amazing job with gathering the amount of volunteers and the amount of work that she's done to get this together. That's going to happen next Wednesday, the 28th. We have, I can't even tell you how many volunteers we have. We have several officers from, my department, from the sheriff's office, and from Highway Patrol. And what we're going to do is we're going to split these kids up into groups of about 30. It's going to be sophomores and juniors. And the first part of the day, basically, there's 7 stations, so they're going to have about a 30-minute presentation in each station. I'll be standing over at the DUI station where we have some side-by-sides being donated to us. And then each kid will have some goggles that they'll be able to see what it's like to be driving a vehicle at a .25 or a 1.0 or a 0.8.
Oh, wow.
And they get to drive an obstacle course. And then, of course, we have some classes on what's going on with the drug problem that we have and the dangers of fentanyl and the dangers of getting on the internet and cell phones. And it's just, it'll be great. And they'll rotate through the morning. And then in the afternoon, we actually have a mock crash scenario where we actually have some actors coming in. They have makeup. We have Life Flight coming in. We have Dave Harness with the medical personnel or fire personnel. Very powerful. And they do a skit in the afternoon, which I think will hit home.
My daughter went through this, and you know, it really does leave an impact on kids to see that type of situation.
Yeah, so I think see that. I mean, I've heard, and I've been a part of something similar, and it is very powerful, and it might make that one person, or the one kid that will remember that when it comes time to make that decision, and hopefully go down that right road. And I think it's very, very important, and I think they will get a lot out of it.
You know, as we're always talking, programs like this, even if it saves one life, it's all worth it.
Yes, amen.
Even if one kid makes that good decision, they remember back to that, and they're like, you know what, I'm not going to end up that way. How long does the event last? Is this like a whole day for them?
Yep, it's a whole day from this, 7:30 in the morning was when we'll start, and then it'll go all the way through the school day until 3.
And I know that you're fairly new to the area, but have you heard, or as other officers talk to you about how this has impacted kids in the past during the talks? They were like, you know what, I know this works. Kids make comments or maybe even leave a note, thanks, or anything like that?
Yeah, so several of the officers that are going to participate in, my department, they actually are glad to see it come back, and even some folks with the sheriff's office had talked about it and said that it is such a good program and probably one of the best out there, and they're glad to see it come back, and I think they're glad to be a part of it. So I've heard a lot of nothing but positive feedback from it, and even some of the kids that have gone through it already, their comments about how it affected them. So yeah, it's definitely, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. And to have those other, I guess you can call them like activities or events off the side, being able to drive, knowing what it looks like to be intoxicated behind the wheel, and then see if you can get through this obstacle course. Is that fairly new, or has that kind of always been part of it as well?
I think they had that the last time. I believe they had it down in KC, and they used it. Myself and Sheriff Odenbaugh actually attended the one that was in Moorcroft earlier this year, which kind of where I met Lisa, and we kind of were, pulling some things from. And so they had it down there with the goggles, and they did like a pedal cart kind of thing. But we're actually getting some things from some side-by-sides donated to us, and we'll have some governors on there, and I'll be in the passenger seat, so hopefully it won't go too bad. But, it should be interesting.
Now, something else that is going on this month, next month, and this was always one of my favorite events to cover when I worked over there. Chief, can you tell us about the upcoming Monster March scheduled for Halloween night downtown?
Downtown, yep. Main Street will be closed down. A lot of the business will be out handing out candy, and all the kids get dressed up in their costumes, show up, and just basically walk the streets of downtown Buffalo, getting candy, and always a great time. So that's another fun event. We'll have the streets closed between Main Street and Angus, so there'll be no traffic. It'll be nothing but kids trick-or-treating.
It's really a sight to see. Because the participation level is off the charts. I think every family from Johnson County heads over there, and it's great to see all the kids, smiling and dressed up like little monsters out there. It really is. It's a great event. How long will the streets be closed that night, sir?
I believe that's from 4 to 8. We're going to have that shut down. Depending on our crowd and how long that lasts. I mean, you've seen it. It's quite there's quite a turnout for it. So, matter of fact, the day I pulled into town was October 30th, and that's the first thing we saw was
really
March when we pulled into town. Yeah, so that'll be 2 years for us this year, and so yeah, it's a great turnout. And we'll have those streets shut down and plenty of officers on staff to make sure everybody gets around safe. But we're looking forward to that event as well.
What a great way to be welcome to town.
No doubt. Great. For sure.
Now, something else that's going on over there, sir, there was a lot, we had some trouble with some car thefts. How's that going?
It's going well. Obviously, we had the one about a month ago where we had both suspects taken into custody, identified, property returned. Unfortunately, we had received two victims came out. They were late reported. Basically, their vehicles were broken into, credit cards were taken, nothing else. They then went up to Sheridan to the Walmart and made some pretty hefty purchases, mainly in gift cards, which is pretty much what they do. It's easy money. They get gift cards. They're not tracked. They can buy a $500 gift card, and that's money in their pocket. So we believe that might be associated with the case that happened down in Gillette. So maybe this is a group that might be traveling the I-90 corridor. I've been in touch with Chief Kotiska there in Sheridan. We've got some photos circulating with different departments. And so still that investigation is still ongoing.
Wow. So this could be, yeah, like you said, a traveling group here that basically just goes into a new town, looks for the easiest opportunity they can, buys these gift cards to help fuel themselves along.
Yes. We had a group back east, and actually we're called the Felony Lane Gang, and that's all they did was go up and down the East Coast. They would go to rec centers, gyms. You go into a gym to work out, you throw your gym bag in a locker that has your wallet in it, unlocked. That's all they would do is go to a locker room. They would go to parks where people are walking kids or whatever and just leave their items, sporting events.
Wow.
We believe this may have happened in the parking lot of the golf course, so people going golfing. Middle of the day, you're not thinking about it. It's not like you think the guy sneaking around in the middle of the night. I mean, this is done in the middle of the day. So again, just I have to reiterate to everyone is secure your belongings, lock your vehicles. And by the time that they had found out, obviously, that this card had been used, we're talking days later, so we're a little bit behind. But we were able to get some good surveillance photos from Walmart, and we're now working on getting these folks identified.
Wow. And, it's always tough to think about something like that happening within our smaller communities, but we are right next to this, you are an intersection of two major freeways.
Yep.
So we are right along the bloodline of
yes, sir.
Of travel.
Yes, we are. And so, again, it is a great, safe community. We just have to be mindful that we're not out of the realm of someone coming into our town that may not have never been here, but drives through and they're just looking for those quick, easy opportunities to make, and they make a very good living doing that. So we just have to be mindful of securing our belongings.
Absolutely. Make sure your doors are locked, folks. Chief, I want to thank you so much for calling in, keeping us informed on what's going on over in Buffalo.
Yes, sir, Floyd. We look forward to seeing you. Hopefully I'll see you at Monster March. Wear something good, okay?
Will do. All right.
All right.
You guys stay safe out there.
Will do. You have a great day, Floyd.
You've been listening to Public Pulse on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.